Hi there, I'm Jen. I was just watching Luna and was talking about how we've entered manifestation through thought, which made me realize that maybe it's the explanation for some of these things that are happening that I've experienced. I have seen people morph in front of me into other people. And yes, looking back, I realized that maybe my thoughts created that, and maybe everyone's thoughts create the original one to begin with. I don't know. And then, so I'll give you examples. I've talked about these before, so I'll try to give it to you quickly, even though it's confusing to understand. One is, two different times, two different passengers pointed something out in the middle of the road, and I was driving both times. The first one, I could not see anything, and I said, "Where? What is it?" And so she said what it was, and I was trying to see it because I don't want to run over it. I believe, I forget the details on this one because I was not in the Mandela mode way of thinking, but I believe she said it was a piece of trash. But my mind, before she answered it, turned a turkey vulture appeared. And I said, "You mean the turkey vulture?" And then she goes, "Oh, wait, is that a turkey vulture or is that trash?" And then it's almost like our two minds did a tug of war of what our eyes could see. And then we both, I believe, both of our thought power turned it into a turkey vulture eating some trash that was on the road. But it was cool how it was going back and forth, like morphing into trash, no, turkey vulture, trash, no, turkey vulture. And then, with our verbal back and forth. And then it was both for both of us. So that was the first one. The second one was another person, right when, a squirrel. I had slowed down because a squirrel was crossing the road, and this is on a smaller road, and with trees on the side. And then when the squirrel was basically done, I started going, and my passenger said, "Watch out!" And I said, "I know it's, gone." And she goes, "Watch out!" Because I was going after the squirrel was 100% off the street, and then and I'm like, "What?" And she says, "The deer." And I'm like, "What deer?" And then and I said, "Where?" And I thought maybe like on the side of the road, because yeah, maybe deer will start, I don't know, leaping towards the road or whatever. So I was trying to see where it was on the side of the road in the woods. But then she points straight in front of us, and there was nothing there. The squirrel had already, crossed. And then, like a frickin' Star Trek thing, a full deer with full antlers materialized in front of me. And yes, I sound cuckoo, but maybe this is explaining what Aluna was talking about. I don't know. But anyhow, I joined her reality because there was a deer on the road. She likes seeing deer, and she's always talked about how she always sees deer on the road. She does not drive, or she does not have a car, so she does not drive. I personally do not want to see deer on the road because I don't want to hit any deer or have any deer hit me. So maybe that's why we create different realities. I don't know. All I know is a deer freaking materialized in front of me. Okay, so that's number two. Number three is during a funeral. I was at a Quaker church for the first time, and it was a packed house because the person who died was a co-founder of this place. Well, it gave me an opportunity to learn more about the Quakers, and they call each other friend, from my understanding, and it was a packed house, and they were all white. Yes, I'm a white woman, but I am very sensitive to the black-white issue because people, I don't know why it matters so much to people, but whatever. So I questioned, do the Quakers have any black friends? And so I had wondered that, and I was just curious. I do ponder and wonder about a lot of things. Anyhow, and I question things, so whatever. So, the service went on, and then about three-fourths through the service, I'll look over to the other side of the aisle, and there in the middle are two black people. So I'm not counting that as morphing or whatever. But because two white people could have left and then two black people could have sat. I'm going to call them a couple. I don't know if they were a couple romantically or whatever, but it was a man and a woman. So I definitely was most likely incredibly rude because I was staring at them while I'm processing. That's really nice to know that Quakers do have black friends. I live in the South, so there's definitely a more open racially charged whatever topic. So people are just people. I've lived everywhere, so to me it's a curious thing why people like to group people together just by their skin color. Excuse me, does my melatonin offend you? I love that one. Anyhow, so then my eyes look back to the service because the person who died, his grandson, was giving a speech. And then that was really short. He was not even expecting to go up, so I'm sure that was difficult for him. But when he sat back down, I looked over and whoo, those two people were no longer there and they were replaced by white people. I'm not even counting that as morphing because the two black people could have walked out and two white people could have walked in. Again, it was a packed house, so any seating would have been welcomed. But then I noticed that those two white people were them, just a little tweaked differently. They had white skin and just the features were tweaked a little bit so they did not look as African American, like their nose and stuff and fuller lips, whatever. And I hate using the word black white because, I'm a Caucasian, but really I'm peach with sprinkles of angel kisses, which is what I call my freckles. So whatever. I'm not white either, but you know what I'm saying for the purposes of this conversation. So whatever. I was new to the Mandela effect, and I thought, is this part of it too, especially given that Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin, whom we studied for Black History Month, was no longer a black man in this reality. So that is another reason why I'm questioning the black-white issue, because, here he's a white man. Why would we have studied him for Black History Month? And I know that there's a reason. It's because in this reality, it's because his slave invented it and whatever. In my reality, he directly invented it. So whatever. And then the final one is I will go ahead and say that in my 3D life, I actually met a person. Yes, I even dated him. And I found out later that he was a wanted fugitive. So go have fun with that. Blah, blah, blah. I found out that he was a wanted fugitive when I called 911 because he was not able to breathe properly. Whatever. That's when I found out. So when I found out that he was going to go to prison for 10 years, I immediately did the biggest prayer because all I wanted to do was somehow bump into his daughter, and because the daughter's wife was in prison for 4 years, and basically their sentences were going to overlap each other. So as one was going to leave, the other one was going to go into prison. And although the daughter lives with the grandparents, still, that's a heavy thing for the daughter. And I just wanted to meet her again and hug her and just kind of whisper in her ear, hey, I found out about, your father, and I love you, and I want you to know that you are your own person. You are not defined by the doings of anybody else, and I love you, just as you are. And I'd forgotten her name, but whatever. I met her 2 times, and I prayed for that. So yes, power of thought, right, Aluna? So a few days later, I go into a grocery store that I don't go into. Usually I go to the grocery store that's near me. But what it did is it gave me the opportunity to, okay, so I'm thinking this is a different thing, because as I'm walking into the first sliding door, I see the back of a child, and it looks like the classmate of my daughter, in 6th or 7th or 8th grade, right? And so I'm thinking this is a separate story. So I yell her name. I'll try not to do it here because I don't want to give away who these people are. So I yell that classmate's name, and she turns around. But then, while she turns around, I'm thinking, for heaven's sakes, my daughter is in her 20s. This child is 6th, 7th, 8th grade. The classmate would be in her 20s too. How could this 6th, 7th, 8th grader be this classmate? So then she morphs, just like that deer. She, in the trash thing, whatever, she morphs literally in front of me, into that wanted fugitive's daughter that I had prayed to see. And then I said something stupid, well, made sense to me, and I said, "Oh, I know you too." And so I got my wish. I was able to hug her and whisper that in her ear, how much I love her and that she's not defined by the actions of anybody else. She's defined by who she is herself. And then she was with a girlfriend and the girlfriend's mother. By that time, the girlfriend's mother came back with a cart, and she goes, "Okay, bye." And then she turns around, and as she's leaving or going through that second sliding door, she turns around and goes, "By the way, that's not my name." Because, I had yelled that classmate's name. And she says, "That's my sister's name." So, it took me a while to process the miracle of this part too. I do not know anyone else who actually has her same name. Sorry, I'm not going to say her name, so this is confusing. So let's say that the classmate's name is AAA, and the wanted fugitive's name is BBB. So, I called her AAA, and she turned around, and then she morphed into BBB. I was able to get my wish, and then when she left, she turns around and says, "Hey, my name is not AAA, that's the name of my sister." So, a while later, I process, I don't know anyone named BBB, so the universe, God, my higher self, my thought process, whatever, made me have her turn around by saying AAA, because she would turn around for her sister's name. It's a unique name, so it would be something that she would turn around for. So that's a miracle as well, and the fact that I could recognize a classmate from decades ago from behind, that's a miracle too, but whatever. So, and then she gives me her real name. So I don't know anybody else named BBB, so there was no one to morph in front of me for me to call. I hope you're following this. But anyhow, I'm still seeking answers and explanations. If you're not affected by the Mandela effect or by any of these unexplainables, because I did not believe in any of this stuff either. So I get it. I would not believe me either if I did not experience it directly. And I love everyone who is going through this, because it's mind-blowing and difficult, including the physical changes. And then anyone who does not experience any of this, and who is still loving and kind to those of us who are going through it. Jeez Louise, I love your love. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that I would have been, I think I would have been this loving and kind as well. It's just not all of us would have been that way. So you're amazing as well. And thank you for listening. And Aluna, thank you as always. I'll leave the link below too. All right. Love you.